regular meeting of the Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Taylor,
Present.
Ms. Rush, present, Ms. Crowder,
Present.
Ms. Buchanan is in the bathroom, Mr. Bradley,
Present.
Ms. Seats. We have a quorum.
All right, so may I have a motion for tonight's approval of tonight's agenda?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, supported by Mrs. Crowder. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes, Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan, we'll cut her on the way back, Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Seats, not here. Motion approved.
All right, is anyone in the audience for public participation at this time? Going once, going twice, public participation. All right, so may I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular session, May 9th, 2019, and also the board workshop, May 25th of 2019. May I have a motion for that?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Bradley.
So motion.
All right, so we have support from Mrs. Crowder. Questions, comments? All right.
Do we have a copy of those minutes?
There,
We clicked on it when we were on the computer.
Mr. Mitchell, here, Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes, Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan, you approve of the minutes?
What?
You approve of the minutes of the previous meetings?
Yes, I know it was.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Seats, okay, approved.
All right, motion carries. All right, so item 2, board business. We'll start off with Mr. Moore, L4029.
So this was advertised in the paper. This is also the truth in taxation hearing. And what this does is this form L4029 is provided to us by the Berrien, and I'm just explaining for others who may not know, by the Berrien County Equalization Office. And it is the authorization that the board issues for the levying of property taxes. And on that form, you'll see that there is, the first line is 18 mills, which is the non-homestead operating millage, which comes directly to the school district. And then also there is a voted building and site millage of 2 mills, which also comes and funds the sinking fund for the district. It is my recommendation that the board approve the levying of those taxes, and for the 2019 tax year, which will be this summer, it will be a summer levy.
Great.
All right, so we have a motion for L-4029.
Vice President, I make a motion to approve the tax levy.
We have a motion by Mrs. Rush. May I have support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Buchanan. Questions, comments, or concerns with the L-4029 documentation? Well, it's on the computer,
okay.
but if not, it's on the screen, and we can give you a moment if you need to look at it.
No, go ahead.
So,
Take a vote.
all right, so call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell, not present, Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes, Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yeah,
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Seats, approved.
All right, motion carries. All right, Mr. Moore, emergency loan restatement and resolution for 2012 to 2013, 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015, 2015, 2016, and 2016, 2017.
Okay, so yesterday sent out to everybody the resolutions that were provided to you by R.W. Baird. The resolution for the application of restructuring the emergency loans, I talk about them all kind of because the resolution is the same. The numbers are a little bit different and the dates are different. But this is asking, putting in an application with the Michigan Department of Treasury to restate the repayment structure. And part of the preliminary budget is based on getting some relief on the restatement of those loans to reduce the amount of debt principal that's paid. The ability to do that or the authorization resides with the Michigan Department of Treasury. And so by approving these resolutions, the board is putting in their application to have those restated. So it's I think it was about a $300,000 reduction to the general fund budget. So.
Yeah.
All right, so may I have a motion for the approval of the emergency loan reinstatement and resolution?
So,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Taylor.
It's okay.
The one thing I might recommend is just so that it's reflected in the minutes and
Okay.
that you act on each resolution individually.
Okay.
Each
year.
Yeah, each year,
Okay.
because each of these is a separate resolution,
Gotcha.
so it'd be probably best to reflect that in
Sure.
the minutes.
All right, so we'll start with the 2012, 2013 motion. That's all right with you, Mr. Moore?
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
do it individually?
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion for the emergency loan reinstatement and resolution. And this vote is for the 2012, 2013 year. Do we have a support?
Support.
So supported by Mrs. Crowder, second by Luke Buchanan. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we call the roll? All right, Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds.
Yes.
Approved.
All right, so may I have a motion for the approval of the 2013, 2014 year?
So.
Okay, so we have a motion by Denise Watley Seats, and we have a second by Mr. Bradley. Any questions, comments, concerns on the year 2013, 2014? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds.
Yes.
Passed.
All right, so may I have a motion for the 2014, 2014 year? 2014, 2015 year. All right, so we have it's moved by Mr. Bradley. Do I have support? Supported by Mrs. Buchanan. Questions, comments, concerns on the years 2014, 2015? Madam President?
Secretary.
Madam Secretary, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds. Yes. Approved.
All right. Now we're down to the year 2015 to 2016. May I have a motion for that year? All right, so motion by Mrs. Denise Watley Seats,
Supported.
supported by Mrs. Crowder. Questions, comments, concerns on the year 2015, 2016? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds. Motion passes.
All right, so last year, 2016, 2017 of the emergency loan reinstatement and resolution. May I have a motion?
So.
It's moved by Mr. Bradley. Do I have a second? Supported by Ms. Buchanan. Questions, comments, concerns on the year 2016, 2017? All right, Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not present. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds. Approved.
All right, Mr. Moore, state aid and anticipation note, resolution also known as the SAN.
Yes. So the district currently has a state aid anticipation note. This is a short-term borrowing that's issued in anticipation of collecting state aid. It allows the district to be able to pay bills starting at the beginning of the school year and then have cash flow throughout the year. And to continue on with the ability to make sure we can have proper cash flow, my recommendation is the board would approve this resolution.
All right, thank you, sir. So may I have a motion on the floor for the approval of the state aid anticipation note resolution?
Yes, so moved.
All right, moved by
Support.
Mrs. Rush, supported by Ms. Buchanan. Do we have questions, comments, concerns on the state anticipated note? All right, Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder?
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, Mr. Moore?
Okay, the next item is an amendment to the resolution authorizing the issuance of notes in anticipation of operating taxes. This is the tax anticipation note. Previously in the year, the board had authorized an initial resolution. This is an amendment with updated figures with regards to borrowing capacity. So my recommendation would be that the board approve this.
All right, so may I have a motion for the amendment to resolution authorizing issuance of notes in anticipation of operating taxes?
So moved.
It's moved by Mr. Bradley.
Second.
All right, seconded or supported by Michelle Crowder. Questions, comments, concerns concerning the amendment? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not present. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder?
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds? Motion passed.
All right, Mr. Moore?
And then the resolution authorizing 2019 refunding bonds. The school district has two general obligation bond issues that are out. Those were issued 2002 and I want to say 2007 maybe. But right now there's the opportunity to refund those, restructure that debt, and then lower the general fund obligation or the amount of money that's being paid out of the general fund. Much like you would refund or refinance a mortgage and get a lower either payment or lower interest rate, you would be able to do the same thing with this. So this resolution would allow the board to entertain those the offer to be able to refinance that.
Thank you, sir. So may I have a motion for the anticipating of operating taxes?
Oh, actually, it's the resolution.
I'm sorry.
Resolution.
Yeah, authorizing the 2019 refunding bonds. All right, moved by Mrs. Crowder. May I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Buchanan. Questions, comments, concerns regarding resolution authorizing the 2019 refunding bonds? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Mitchell, not present. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder?
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Ms. Watley Seeds? Approved.
All right, so Mr. Moore, the contract with Signature.
So we have Mr. Tom Holm from Signature Realtor here. He is a commercial real estate agent or broker, and previously has listed the surplus properties with the district. There is still one property that's kind of in a pending sale situation that is the M63 North Shore, I think is the school that's with. But the district does have, I think we're somewhere around 14 surplus properties or properties that could potentially be sold. The Finance Committee reviewed that property list, made recommendations on ones they would like to list initially. And so I was asked, could I get a hold of Mr. Holm and have him do a proposal to the board? This is his proposal. I'll let him take it over.
Thank you, Todd. And thank you to the board, Vice Chair Joseph Taylor and the rest of the board. Again, I'm Tom Holm with Signature Associates. I'm working with Jeff Crystal on this listing. And Jeff Crystal's out of town today, so he would have liked to be here, to have been here, but he's not available. So a little bit about the proposal. I think everybody's got a copy of the proposal and maybe had a chance to take a quick peek at it. But I'd just like to take maybe a couple minutes to point out a couple sections in here. On page 1, we give the executive summary, and again, as Todd stated, I've worked on these properties, worked with Todd and some of the board members on these previously. And it's exciting to think about these buildings and future use for these buildings, for this excess real estate. So you see the needs and requirements. Again, I've talked to Todd about this process. And if you move ahead to page 3, there's some resumes. So one for me, Tom Holm, and one for Jeff Crystal. Just a little bit of background. I've got 5 years in commercial real estate, and prior to that, I worked for 25 years as a civil engineer with both the state of Michigan and the Kalamazoo County Road Commission. And Jeff Crystal has been with Signature since 2007 and has many more years beyond that in commercial real estate. So then if you turn to page 12, I'm listing some of the strengths and challenges about the properties. Zoning is one of the big challenges because most of them are in residential zone, and the future use could be mixed use or it could be a number of different uses. So in the next page, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but I list out the properties and some of the information about the zoning and possible future use. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer those questions.
Madam Secretary?
So as chairman of the finance committee, Mr. Moore and I, as he said, we had a discussion of all the properties at the finance committee, which is me, Mr. Taylor, and Ms. Crowder. And and then we reviewed the issue of finding a commercial realtor that could handle this process. And after consideration and looking at various options, I strongly support the idea of renewing our contract with Signature. And I think, as we all know, selling some of the old properties that have been vacant for up to 30 years is critical to us having a balanced budget.
And after reading this proposal, I read it at home. It was excellent, so I have no problem.
So 1700 East Britain, which property is that?
Boynton School. So there is,
So, yeah, but we took Boynton School off of our list, so
it
that
was
should,
previously listed, it's not currently on the list. So,
right. So that's
um,
an error in the presentation?
So, no, it's just
So
there for
this is not-
information.
Our just for clarification, our approval of their contract has nothing to do with listings. That has to be we have to go back and re-approve that.
Oh, so you still have an old listing?
So that one, I think, is just for information on pricing. It's not in the
This is not
individual
approval
properties.
of listing, this is just approval.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that through the finance committee, that property was removed, so when I see it in this presentation, is that an error?
Yes,
Yeah, I would say, so that there's double asterisks by it, it's just there for, that was there before, and that was the price previously.
so anyway, the process will be, of course, Dr. Herrera is still the superintendent. And we have no authority to enter into contract. But if we're actually advising them to proceed with entering into a contract, and then if that happens, then the finance committee will meet with Signature, and the physical plant committee will meet with Signature, and then we'll start to figure out how to proceed.
Right. No, I know I know this is just a presentation and an advisory capacity, but I want to make sure that when we created the list of properties to keep and those to get rid of, that list is correct. Because when you see something in writing, you want to make sure that this does not follow. So Mr. Moore, from our past facilities and operations meeting, Boynton property was on the safe side, correct?
Yeah, it's a do not sell on the website.
I'm just making sure.
Can I just?
Yes.
So I do have a copy of this list as well, we included that in the presentation. So I was provided this list by Todd Mora, and again, it does
That's your
clarify
update.
that Boynton School is not on the list.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember too is that at any point where an offer is made, the board always has the final
Right.
decision. So just because a property is listed doesn't mean that you will sell it. And I do get calls from people quite frequently asking about, are you selling this building or are you selling this building? As does Tom. And I think that, at some point there may be a property that's not listed that somebody would call on. You may get an offer. So,
I just wanted to
Sure.
clarify for the board to make sure,
so
all right, any
So
other
the six
questions?
is Valley is at 633 or 635, 653 Valley. You got two different addresses.
So,
For the old tech center.
Well, what's the address? 653 or 633?
I believe that 653 is the correct address. We do have copies of the marketing as well, and that is right up on the front.
To just clear, this is just a thing to get us out of the gate.
Yeah.
But I just.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns from our representative from Signature Associates?
Well, I just say I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to working with the board.
And I support Mrs. Crowder and Mrs. Rush with their recommendation from the Finance Committee, so I'm in support as well. All right, thank you, sir.
So we should have a motion, right,
Well, I don't think we can,
to advise, or we don't need a motion?
I don't think so. I think we were just listening to
Yeah.
to Signature.
if nobody has any objections, I'll make sure Dr. Herrera knows that and we can work on getting a new contract
Great.
issue. Okay.
But what we will do for the record though, let's just make a motion to advise.
Okay.
All right, and we'll do that for the record. So may I have a motion to advise Dr. Herrera that the Board of Education approves the contract with, or recommends the contract with Signature Realty? All right, so we have, it's moved by Denise Watley Seats and also by Mrs. Crowder. Any questions, comments, concerns before we call the vote? Madam Secretary?
Mr.
Or
Mitchell,
not the vote, but the,
what's the motion?
Mhm.
We can't do a contract, but we can still send him
Motion of
recommendation.
support.
Motion of support, yeah.
okay, Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yeah.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yeah.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley seats.
Yes.
Motion approved to send a positive recommendation to the CEO.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Contract for business management service, Mr. Moore?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
So,
So Dr. Herrera was supposed to be here to present this, but I will present this. And you could put this maybe under board comments, but I want to just take a moment and say that I feel the board and the district should give tremendous thanks to Mr. Moore for doing such a great job all year. And really helping us pull all this together for today is a lot. But
oh, no. Thank you, that's very nice. I had a lot of help. There's a lot of people behind the scenes making things work, so it's a team effort.
so, unfortunately, next Friday's his last day. So, and we're in the process of trying to recruit a new CFO, but we are also don't have an accountant. So, and we, in order to make sure, so everything's set up for the payroll for next Friday, the 14th. But unless we get some help, we will not, we have the money to make the payroll, but we don't have the people power.
You'll make the 14th because I'll be here through the 14th. So that payroll, it would be the
The
payroll, the 28th.
Right. So, and we want our staff paid on time and our bills paid on time, especially since we've got the money in the bank. So we need somebody to help us to fill in. I met with Mr. Moore today and I met with Dr. Herrera. And Dr. Herrera recommended that we have a contract with the firm Ed Ops, EDOPS, I think, right?
Mhm.
That can provide temporary accounting services that could start next week. And we, therefore, because I think it would be a good idea, oh, there we are, Ed Ops. Susan is on the ball. So anyway, I think it would be desirable to have overlap with the Ed Ops person before Mr. Moore leaves. So again, Dr. Herrera, as the superintendent CEO, is the one that would enter into the contract. We would just be advising Dr. Herrera to enter into this contract with the desired outcome that we have somebody from them here on site to do a smooth transition with Mr. Moore next week. So I support this motion.
Where they located?
They have a presence over on the east side of the state. Their corporate offices are in Washington DC. So, yeah, they most of, I think they might do a little bit of work for some charter schools like in the Grand Rapids area. What they are is they're a financial HR and kind of a back office service for charter schools. The way I came about meeting them was at a conference that was put on by Shelby Freyer and the Department of Ed. And the reason that I brought back the information to Dr. Herrera was we were not getting applicants for either position, and recognizing that this might be a solution that would allow for the board to have services while still trying to recruit somebody. They have a lot of expertise, and I think they'll be able to help.
Right. And we need help in 48 hours.
So Susan, do you have a complete slide, or is this just a,
No, this is 11 pages,
so it's 11
and it's
pages?
attached to the agenda, so
Okay,
you
gotcha.
can see it.
So, yes,
I
sir.
did have a quick question. So, how long would this contract with Ed Ops go on for? That until we find the personnel, or
Yeah, when I was initially talking to them, it was looking at it for a year period. But I don't know if they came up with a different proposal for Dr. Herrera. But we can get clarification on that. I suspect, given that I think we started in March looking and we haven't had anybody apply, it may take a little while to find the right person to come in. So, and additionally, if when you do get a CFO, this would be the support to help in that office to make sure things run smoothly. But yeah, I think it was a year, so that was.
Is that written in the PowerPoint? Do you know if it's?
I don't know if I've seen this. I saw one a while back to be prepared. So
I'm not sure this is actually the contract. I think this is more of their
Description?
marketing.
Yeah.
okay.
And what I understood from Dr. Herrera is that to some extent, it's an à la carte service, so that we could
Choose one.
choose different things. We could expand, we could contract if we can get our own staff.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, so I think for a matter of record again, yeah, we'll do a motion to advise Dr. Herrera to hopefully choose a contract with Ed Ops.
Educational opportunity?
Yes. May I have a motion?
Someone.
Okay. All right.
Take a swallow first.
So, Denise Watley Seats was made the support, second by Mrs. Crowder.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell. And here, Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush, yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yeah.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Ms. Watley seats?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, so that was just a support and an advisement for Dr. Herrera to hopefully approve that contract.
Right.
All right, and I think the superintendent action items, we can't do anything with that.
Right.
So now, Ms. Moore, anything else?
That's all I had.
All right, so if we don't,
Yeah, before, which Mr. Mitchell, we needed that 4029 sign. We be
You need
seeing,
it tonight, or?
well, I wanted to send it out to all the taxi unions tomorrow, so.
So I'd be happy to drive it to his house tomorrow, if you
Okay.
need him to sign it, or Mr. Taylor, or I could sign it.
is it the president or can the secretary do it?
Well, it's both. It's the secretary and the president. So if I give you, I'll give you several copies in a folder, and
I could drive it to his house tomorrow and get it signed and
Okay.
get it back in the morning.
that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so on to discussion items. Do we have any discussion items from the board? Any other business? So if you have other business, now's the time to state your other business. All right, so board member announcements or comments. We'll start off with Mrs. Crowder.
No.
All right,
I don't have any comments on it.
yes, ma'am. Mrs. Rush.
Happy to be part of the board.
Okay. Mrs. Buchanan. Mrs. Buchanan.
No comment, I'm proud of the board, let's stick together so we can make it out of this cleanup. We can get out of this ditch. If somebody pulling us up on the other side, well, we got to get out of it. If we stick together, we can make it.
All right, thank you.
And my son done excellent, feel like a new person.
Okay.
Good.
Mr. Bradley.
I've been reaching out to some of the young constituents of the school district, and so I'm gonna have a small informal gathering, and maybe more, maybe less. You're all welcome to come and just listen. It's just gonna be ideas. It's gonna be next week, right over here on M139, with Apollonia Williams. She has the event hall there and the plaza there. So I've had classmates calling me saying, can I invite a teacher? Because there was teachers at the meeting. So it's just something informal so we can sit down and get ideas, because a lot of people felt that they weren't getting through to people that were invited to other meetings. I've already got an email. I may have to send you a copy of it from a classmate, and she had a long list of questions, and then she also had some ideas and sent me links to what possible funding things we can look into.
All right, send that to the entire board.
Where's it gonna be?
It's gonna be at Magical Memories Event Hall.
City Law. City Law?
Yeah.
I'd say
City
a lot.
Law,
Yeah.
yes. She has
On the side of St.
Next
Louis.
time, Dollar General.
On the side of Dollar General.
Yeah, and it'll be Monday night at 7.
Okay.
7 o'clock. That's what we hadn't gotten.
So my comments is, first, I want to just say, Mr. Moore, thank you.
Sure.
I wish I had more time to really get to know you, you know, as the board came back, circumstances, we couldn't get to really interface as much. So I want to wish you well,
Oh, thank
you and
you.
your family.
Likewise.
Yes, thank you,
Wish all
sir.
luck.
And, you know, sometimes people think we're hard, but we're not. And sometimes we have to say certain things, but we do always wish people well, and we thank them for their service, for their effort, and for their expertise. So I appreciate you, and I'm sure this board appreciates you,
Oh, yes.
and good luck in all you do.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate
to,
it.
and to the board, I would say, you know, guys, thanks for being committed to education, to helping young people, because this commitment, right, goes from the cradle to the grave when we're parents or just people standing up. And I thank you for standing up and standing out to fight for what's right in Harbor area schools. Good job. I'm glad to be a part of a good team. And I think, I don't think, when we get out of this ditch, as
There you go,
as
we get
Buchanan
out.
said, we're gonna be okay.
We're coming out.
All right. May I have a motion to close tonight's meeting?
So,
All right.
Support.
All
I
right.
need a ride now. Somebody got my car.
Mr. Mitchell, not here. Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Rush. Yes. Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley.
Yes.
Ms. Watley Sings.
yes.
All right, so meeting adjourned at 5:36.